On this episode of The Invested Mindset, we're going to be talking about negativity versus positivity. After all, we talk about mindset here. My podcast was designed to help new and seasoned investors break free from financial confusion by sharing real-world investing and business strategies that they can use to build lasting wealth and freedom. All right, so on this episode, I want to talk about negativity versus positivity. Because, hey, the name of this is The Invested Mindset, right? Most of that, we're going to talk about how we think about economic data, financial reports, Wall Street, the Fed, all of these different things that are moving, and how do we feel about those? And what are those kind of giving us a gut sense of? And how do we use that in our investing and in our business strategy? But today, I'm just going to focus purely on mindset because I gotta be honest. I believe it is one of the determining factors of success. And it's just hard for me to go through all the successful people I've had the privilege of meeting over the years and find anybody in my recollection that I could say was highly successful and a negative person. I racked my brain yesterday and today as I was preparing for this, and I could not come up with anybody that I personally know that is highly successful in anything, really, and an extremely negative person. So I think there is something to this. And now we have a study that I'm going to reference. This was in Fox News, June 12th, 2025, an article that I threw in my archives because I knew I wanted to circle back to it at some point, and I also knew it was not time sensitive, so I didn't have to jump on it right then like I would, say, a financial report or a economic report. So the article says, here's the headline: negative thoughts might be changing your brain in surprising ways, study suggests. So obviously that caught my attention, and I wanted to dive into that. So reading from the article, a negative mindset is known to trigger or heighten stress and anxiety. New research has revealed other trickle-down effects on mental and physical health. I've said this for years. Negative people are going to have more health issues than positive people. I believe there is a direct correlation between the way we think and the way our bodies feel. Let's dig in here and see if this agrees. Researchers from Amen Clinics, a nationwide brain health diagnostic company, examined brain scans and cognitive data of nearly 20,000 patients who had been diagnosed with anxiety disorders. Brain disorder specialist and psychiatrist Daniel Aman was the co-author of the study and the founder of the clinics. He says the people who had higher negativity bias were found to have reduced blood flow in the frontal, temporal, and, I can't even say that one, parietal lobes, regions critical for decision-making, memory, and emotional regulation. This is fascinating. The extent of physical brain abnormalities, especially in areas not previously linked to emotional processing, like the cerebellum, was striking. These more negative people were also found to have significantly higher levels of depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, emotional instability, poor memory, and poor stress regulation. Not only were mood symptoms worse, but their actual thinking skills, especially memory and resilience, were compromised. The findings were published in the journal Depression and Anxiety. This research supports what I have long argued. Mental illness is brain illness. The researcher went on, until we start looking at the brain, we are flying blind in psychiatry. What a fascinating. Now, they said there were some limitations to the study, and I'd be remiss if I didn't read that. There were some limitations to note because it was primarily a cross-sectional design, which means it captured data from a snapshot of time rather than following a group for an extended period. The study also shows association, not causation. While negativity bias correlates with dysfunction, it doesn't definitively cause it. So, based on these findings, he's emphasizing the importance of optimizing brain health and maintaining a more positive mindset. Now, think about what we're reading here, and whatever your thoughts are on this subject, I know when I first started learning about mindset, I thought it was honestly. I mean, I'm a redneck boy from the hills of Appalachia. I'm not. I was not certainly cultured, not certainly formal educated. So I believed in what I saw. I believed in what I could do, but I looked at this type of thing, mindset. Oh, your mindset's going to change your outlook or change your outcomes. I thought that's a bunch of hooey. There's no way how, whether I'm positive or whether I'm negative is going to change anything in my brain. Now, what we have is a study that suggests, it's not a definite yet, but it suggests, and I'm sure there will be more studies on it, that thinking negatively actually changes the blood flow to three very important parts of the brain, which changes how we remember things, how we make decisions, how we feel. That's huge. So when we're looking, now how do I tie this all back to real estate and all back to investment? It's simple. The old adage, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right. We've all heard that adage. It's a cute little cliche, but I think it bears some truth. And, I was thinking about some really tough things that I've gone through in my life. And I was looking back saying, man, I don't even know how I did that. Looking back, I'm like, I don't understand how we even made that work, how I got through that, how I got through that time. But I can tell you, I was never negative. I was never negative about it. I was always positive, and I always had an attitude of, I'm going to get through it. I'm going to get through it. Whether that had anything to do with it or not, we'll never know. But I believe when you're going through the tough stuff in your life. And look, if you're in business for yourself, you're going to go through tough stuff. I ran across on Facebook the other day a little reel of my own. It was a blurb out of one of my previous podcasts where I said something to the effect of, if you're going into business for yourself, it's going to be tough, but it's worth it. And there were a lot of comments and a lot of reactions to that little blurb on there, because a lot of people that are in business for themselves have never been told that, but they certainly know it to be true. If we knew how tough going into business would be, many of us might not do it. But if we think, it's going to be tough, but it's going to be worth it. I'm going to get through it. I'm going to plow through this thing, whatever this challenge is. I'm going to get through this. And on the other side, things are going to be a heck of a lot better than they've ever been for me. Honestly, for me, that's always been enough. That I've never needed a guarantee. I've never needed a guarantee in life. I've just wanted a shot. So when it comes to mindset, how we use that in conjunction with our investing is we say, look, it is what it is, but we're going to get through it and we're going to be better on the other side for it. I think we have a much better outcome when we have that attitude than an attitude of, oh my gosh, this is going sideways. This could be really bad. Because that that mindset is paralyzing. That mindset focuses you on the problem and focuses you on all the potential horrible outcomes, all the potential horrible fallout, instead of allowing you to focus on the possible solutions. So the mindset, I think, is number one determiner of whether or not an entrepreneur or investor is going to be successful. If you think you can, you probably can. If you think you can't, you probably can't. If you go into it with that attitude, you probably just need to not go into it, because you're going to focus on the wrong things. Focus on the solution. So the other thing that I would say on this mindset issue is when we have an attitude of, I'm going to get through it, whatever that it is for you. Market volatility got you stressed. One day you're up, the next day you're down. It's enough to make anyone lose sleep. That's why smart investors are looking beyond traditional stocks and bonds to diversify their portfolio. What makes ILS Capital different? While stocks and bonds swing with market emotions, our investment funds are backed by real estate notes, actual loans secured by real property. This means your investment isn't tied to Wall Street sentiment or corporate earnings reports. Instead, it's connected to tangible assets that people need, homes and commercial buildings. Real estate notes have historically provided more predictable returns because they're based on actual property values and loan payments, not market speculation. It's a completely different approach to building wealth. Ready to add some stability to your investment strategy? Visit ILS Capital at ilscapitalfunds.com/diversify. That's ilscapitalfunds.com/diversify. And learn how our real estate notes-backed funds can help balance your portfolio. Investment involves risks, including potential loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Please carefully consider investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. It gives you the ability to seek solutions, and it gives you the clarity of mind to see solutions when they avail themselves. I had a young gentleman I was mentoring years and years ago in real estate, and I said to him one time, I said, you stumble over more opportunities without recognizing them in a week than it would take me to provide for my family for a year. Because he had not trained himself to recognize opportunities when he saw them. They would avail themselves to him. He was great at getting himself in front of opportunities, but then he didn't even notice them. He didn't even recognize them as opportunities. And one of our recent conversations, we probably had that conversation 15 years ago. And he remembered that in a recent conversation 15 years later. He said, "You remember when you told me this?" I said, "Yeah, I do." Because afterward, I kind of wondered whether that was a mean thing to say, although he knew it was coming from a place I was trying to help him, not hurt him. He's like, "No, it wasn't mean. It was actually true." And he said, "It hasn't been until recently that I understood what you were trying to get through to me." And he said, "Yeah, you were right. I was so focused on just one thing. Other opportunities were piling around me and I didn't even see them because I was so tunnel visioned on one thing." So that's also part of this whole negative versus positive outlook. Now, I'm not saying he had a negative outlook, because he's never, ever had a negative outlook, not since I've known him. But when you do have a negative outlook, it keeps you from seeing opportunity. It keeps you from seeing solutions. And look, as entrepreneurs, investors, business owners, that's all we do every day is look for solutions. because we are constantly looking to fix a problem. It could be our problem that we're trying to fix, something in our company, something in our business isn't working. We're trying to fix it. It could be somebody else's problem, because fixing other people's problems makes you money. That's how businesses are built, fixing problems, right? We've talked about that on a previous episode. So negativity keeps you from seeing solutions to problems, yours and others. It's going to be very hard for us to find a new revenue stream with a negative attitude. We're not going to notice a new opportunity for a revenue stream. We're not going to notice an opportunity for a new product, or an opportunity to merge with another company or buy another company, or any multitude of opportunities that face us over the course of a year, depending on how large or small your company is. Negativity kills success. It is absolutely a killer of success. And now we see it may also be a killer of our physical health as well. This is something I'll certainly be watching. I'd like to see more studies on this, and I'm sure since this one was published, there will be more. And as I see those results, I'll bring them to you, because this is fascinating. And I guess it's fascinating to me because it has I have a bias to it. This study actually tells me what I wanted to hear. It tells me what I thought already. It's confirming, and I have a confirmation bias for this study. But not to the point that I won't continue to watch for others, and certainly listen to the other side of this as well. But for my mind, and for everything I've seen, and all the successful people I've been able to deal with over the course of my career, this is spot on. Negativity kills success. Positivity allows success, but does not guarantee it. We can't just walk around with a positive attitude and expect that everything's going to fall our way. That is not at all what I'm saying. Not at all. Negativity kills the possibility of success. Positivity at least allows for it, but certainly does not guarantee it. So let's assume that we agree we have to have a positive mindset to even have a shot at success. How do we develop that? How do we protect that if we already have it? How do we develop it if we don't have it? Because I promise you, I did not grow up with the attitude that I have today. Now, I know that's shocking for those of you that have known me for 20 years. I've got some people watching this that have known me for 30 years. Picture this. You found the perfect investment property. The numbers work, the location is ideal, but your traditional bank wants 60 days to close and treats your rental property like it's some risky gamble they've never seen before. Sound familiar? Here's the thing. Most banks just don't understand real estate investing. They're built for home buyers, not investors. And that's where Investor Loan Source comes in. We're a financing company created specifically by and for real estate investors. We know what rental income looks like. We understand fix and flip timelines, and we get that commercial deals move fast. Whether you're doing buy and hold rentals, fix and flip projects, or commercial acquisitions, we speak your language and we can close in days, not months. Stop explaining your business to bankers who just don't get it. Visit ils.cash/fast. That's ils.cash/fast, and work with lenders who understand real estate investing. But it's true. I didn't always have a positive mindset. I developed this mindset because I started seeing and reading in a lot of books that I read on successful people, and it kept talking about mindset over and over. And I'm like, you know what? What do I have to lose? Right? I could be positive or negative. It's a choice, right? So I'm going to just choose to be positive, and I'll start working on it. And over the course of time, I don't know how much time, but over the course of time, I learned to be a positive person. I learned to steer away from negativity, completely away from negativity. I just don't do negative people. I just don't. And I guess for me, it's a protection. I have to protect my mind. I have to protect what goes in it, because if I allow a bunch of negativity in there, or any negativity or drama in there, it takes me off my path. And I have a path that I'm on, and I know that path. And now, what I just said in those last few sentences, there are a lot of nuggets in that I think are important, and I'm going to dig them out. So, number one, how to protect and develop your mindset to be positive is you got to eliminate negative people in your life. You just have to steer clear of them. Now, look, some people are so close to you, you can't steer completely clear, but you got to limit it as much as possible. And if you have a choice, if they are not family, and you have a choice, then you need to just keep anybody that is not family and is negative, cut them off. Cut them off. Negativity is cancerous. It gets in and it starts growing. So I just don't allow it. I don't allow it anywhere in my life. There's nobody in our family that's negative. None of my employees are negative, at least none that I deal with directly. So I just don't have anybody that I have to deal with that is a negative person. Number two, we have to write a success plan. And this is important because I just said I'm on a path and I don't want negativity to take me off my path. Well, what is my path? Can most of you say that you're on a path, that you know exactly where you're going? I can. I have for 30 years. I have had a path that I was on. Now, I changed that path from time to time. I might get to the destination I set out to go to, and I have to set a new one. Or I may fall short of the destination, but I'm close, so I set an even bigger goal beyond that. And that's really what I'm talking about, is goal setting. Again, every book I've ever read about every success platform, every successful person, every success coach says you got to have goals. You got to have written goals. Now, but still, we all know it and we don't do it, just like many things in life. But I do, and I will constantly do that. I will live my life that way. I will live the rest of my life that way, setting goals and having a path that I'm on. And then in setting those goals, it's not just setting the big goals, the I want to own this, or I want to have this much money, or I want to have this lifestyle. Those are great, and those are certainly where we start, but we have to set small ones too, because these small ones add up as wins along the way, and wins are key. It's awfully hard to be negative when you see yourself winning all the time. Winning it's contagious. When you start winning, you're going to get excited and you're going to get happy. And when you get excited and happy, guess what? That's positive. That's positivity. But if you don't set goals that you can hit, you don't have the wins. And you might be winning, but you just didn't even know. It's like playing a game and not keeping score. To me, that's idiotic. Why would I play a game and not keep score? I want to win. I'm competitive. I want to win, even if it's I'm playing against myself in a game of life. I still want to win. I'm still competing with myself. The next thing I think it was key to me was building a vision board. I may have shared this in a previous podcast, but it's certainly worth saying again. If I did, I built the most recent vision board we had was 8 foot by 4 foot, and it hung in our living room. Yeah, I know. My wife was not very excited about it when I put it up, but after 6 months or so of that being up there and us having our goals slapped up on this vision board, and we started winning. We started hitting these goals and taking the pictures and putting down below in the succeeded column. And all of a sudden, she started putting goals up there too. And it wasn't just my vision board anymore. It was our vision board. It's hard to argue with yourself when you're winning. It's hard to get down on yourself when you're winning. And we don't have to win all the time. I mean, think about Major League Baseball. What is a good batting average? A good batting average is what? They always say you're batting 300. Well, if you're batting 300, that means you're doing well. That means that means you've missed way more than you've hit. You know, what is a good shooting average in basketball? You're not going to hit every basket, but some of the greats, you know, way, way, way more losses on shooting, misses rather, on shooting than scores, but they were the greatest in the game. We don't have to in life win every time, but yet when we get into investing and we get into business, we think we do. We think we have to win every time. I had a former business partner that he would be so frustrated if we lost money on any deal we did. And he used to want to be focused on that. And at one point, you know, he was beating me because it was my idea. I wanted to start a new division and a new thing. And we tested it with a couple of deals, failed miserably, lost a lot of money, totally on me. I missed it. And he just would hold that over my head and beat me with it every time he had an opportunity. And one day I'd had enough of it, and he saw a different side of me than he hadn't seen before. I said, listen, you want to keep beating me with my losses? That's fine. I deserve it. You're right. I lost us money. Now, I didn't lose investor money because we always tested things with our own money. But I lost us, he and I, money. I said, you want to beat me with it? That's fine. But you only do it after you name all the damn wins that I have had in this company for us. You want to quantify the loss? Great. But you quantify that loss after you've quantified all the damn wins that I have had for this company. Because I'm sick and tired of the negativity. And he stopped, leaned back in his chair. He's like, I'm not trying to beat you with it. I said, yes, you are. Subconsciously, you are. It is still eating at you that we lost money. It's still eating at you that we lost, I don't know what it was. Let's call it $1 million. I said, but you're not talking at all about this company that just made $4 million, or this company that just made $2 million, or this company that just made, come on. If we're going to keep score, let's keep score. Let's do it. Let's do it right. Because you're not going to just talk about the negative part and not the positive part. We never had a discussion about that loss again, ever. He completely stopped talking about it. And I don't believe that he even knew what an effect it was having on me, that he kept bringing it up and just needling me and just comments, little comments that just kept it top of mind. Look, I don't want to remember my losses that well. I don't want them on top of I want to learn from them. And we certainly did learn from that. And we shut down that division very quickly. We never did that again. We learned that we were not suited. We just were not suited for that particular thing. But I want to remember the wins. The wins are the ones that fuel you. The wins are the ones that keep your mind open to other opportunities. The next thing I do, and I've done for years, is read daily affirmations. It is a very carefully crafted paragraph that I read out loud to myself. Now, I used to read it to myself every day, twice a day. I've gotten away from that over the years. But I still occasionally will pick it up and read it, and it's hanging right beside my office desk. I also used to have it hanging in my closet on the door. When I opened the door, that's the thing that stared at me every morning so that I could sit there and read it to myself as I was getting dressed. And it tells you about all the good qualities of yourself and why your success is virtually guaranteed. Now, is it all true? Maybe, maybe not. You got to write it yourself. It's not something somebody else can write for you. But I wrote myself something that told me every morning why I was suited for success, why I had the ability to succeed. And that kept my mind positive all day long. And that night, I'd read it again before I went to bed because I wanted that working in my subconscious mind while I was sleeping. The next one is, I think, and I've never done this, I just thought of this the other day as I was thinking about this podcast, and I'm going to sit down and do it myself as I tell you that you should. Make a list of every tough thing you've ever been through that you accomplished. Every tough thing that at some point going through it, you didn't know if you were ever even going to get through it or not. Make a list, because mine's going to be a long damn list. I've been through some tough things, and most of the successful people I know have. Most of us could sit around a campfire with an adult beverage and tell war stories till the wee hours of the morning about the crap we've been through in life. And I think there's value in that. I think there's a lot of value in that. I think the person that has never been through anything tough in life is going to have it tough being successful, because the first time things start to get a little testy, they're not going to know what to do. And they could cut and run if they have not been battle scarred, bruised, busted up, and battle hardened in going through crap, going through the tough stuff. So if you've got some of those things in your past, I urge you to make a list. All the tough things that while you were going through it, you were not even sure you were going to be able to make it through it. And I can't wait to see my list, because those are huge wins. The goals, the little goals and the big goals, those are wins, because we set a goal and we attained it. But man, when you can write down those really tough battles that you've had to fight through and how you did it, and you can read those back to yourself every once in a while, it's hard at that point not to have a positive attitude and not to believe wholeheartedly that you have what's needed to succeed in whatever it is you're endeavoring to do today. So in closing, the two things that I focus on is I focus on the way things are going to be, not the way things are. I focus on the future. I focus on the way things are going to be. And I also am going to start focusing on my winning track record. And I hope you will too. And I hope this podcast was helpful for you. We'll see you on the next episode of The Invested Mindset. Thanks for joining us on The Invested Mindset. To continue receiving actionable wealth building strategies, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Turn on the auto download to make sure you never miss an episode. And if today's insights moved you closer to financial freedom, please take a moment to leave us a rating. It helps fellow entrepreneurs and investors discover these valuable strategies. I'm Tom Berry, and I'll see you next time as we continue building the path to lasting wealth and freedom.